right, everybody, let's do a brief audio and visual check. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me okay? Hello, Hecker. Sarah Heck. Heck, Sarah. Welcome. Phoenix, first day with Topstep X Green. Well, congratulations. You sound and look fantastic. Thank you, Rips. Phoenix, if I have so many DMs, if you send me a DM, most likely I will read it. I get so many messages in Discord. I do not reply to DMs most of the time, but I do get them, and I always appreciate your guys' feedback, whether it's suggestions for slow markets, nice comments, and if you do have questions, feel free to just hold on to those questions until slow markets, because instead of me doing direct messages, I prefer to answer questions here. And on that note, we have some amazing moderators here. If you do have any questions, feel free to type it there in the chat. If I do not get to them, copy and paste, and hopefully I'll get to them. So anyway, let's get started. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach TBA. As always, we're going to be talking about the live markets like you see behind me, and our top step risk disclosure is in the YouTube chat. Because we're talking about live markets, that's why we have the risk disclosure. This is not a signals class. I'm not here to do signals. Jose, this is English only. I do speak a bit of Spanish, and we have some coaches here that also speak Spanish. Coach Vince, he's amazing. I would say hop into our Discord, and maybe he might help you out. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe one day we'll do a Spanish class. If you guys would sit there and make fun of my Spanglish. But anyway, please speak Spanish. Let's get to these markets, guys. I'm going to go through this. I added 2 more. So yesterday, if you were not here for class yesterday, we did add the ES. And we also added the USD Japanese yen. So we added a currency. So everybody knows, just because we are futures traders, and here at Topstep we trade futures, we do have the ability to trade Forex futures. So let's try it. Let's take a look. Like I said, anything that I take the time and look, right? I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be analyzing it for a month before I actually place a trade. And I strongly recommend you guys do the same. If you guys want to try, testing out a new market, whether that be like Nasdaq, crude oil, gold, or anything that you see us here at Topstep trading, hopefully this gives you guys a good outline of how to do so. Is analyze it. Don't just jump in and start risking money. Don't just jump in and buy a combine and trade on a combine. Analyze it. Take some time. Every market has its unique fingerprint and characteristics. And as I go through this rapid fire, we're going to go through them. I'm going to analyze them. And if I don't like the market, to be honest, guys, and if it's not something that I'm really enjoying, or it doesn't really fit my style of trading, I'm just going to take it off. And I know a lot of traders love the ES and traders here. We have a lot of traders that are coming from the Forex market. Myself, I used to trade the Euro USD, and I used to trade pound, dollar, yen, and these other different currencies when I first started to learn. There's nothing wrong with them. The nice thing is, because we are a futures prop firm, the USD Japanese yen futures, it's through a centralized exchange, and it's a lot better than going out there in the wild west of the futures. So anyway, that being said, yes, Turo, yeah. Turo and Topstep is kind of getting to what I think would be an interesting thing, guys. If you didn't catch it, I have the notes right here. Just kind of a reminder, and it's something that is huge. It is huge, and I that's an understatement. Is now at Topstep we could have 5 express funded accounts. I still have my own feelings and opinions about having so many accounts and copy trading. I think 5 is a decent spot where if, for example, if you don't want to copy trade, so be it. However, this is something I've seen traders do, and I do maybe, I don't know if I want to say I recommend it, but it is an option, right? So if you are going to trade multiple markets, one thing that I would consider in my own is that if I'm going to trade, for example, the Nasdaq, I trade it, I become, start a combined trading only the Nasdaq, and I go through and I, become funded trading a Nasdaq on that account. And then I have another account, which is a crude oil account, and then maybe a gold account. That is an option rather than just copy amongst all 5 of them. So it gives us more flexibility, right? I like the 3 accounts. I liked the three accounts because it was the same concept, right? Maybe you have a different strategy in another account. Maybe for me, I trade slow markets. Maybe I was doing, slow markets with one account, the London session with another account, maybe a New York session with a different account, and you could have those different strategies. The more popular thing that it seems like everybody here loves to do is just copy trade all 5 accounts. And then when you're putting on one contract, you're actually putting on 5. And if you have 5 150K accounts, it's actually like you're trading, 150 times 5, which is what, 5, 6, 750. It's a 750K account. You'll be able to trade 75 lots. And so that's why I say it's huge in that aspect, is because you guys asked for it, and I know MP had a very strong opinion, and I've had some conversations with MP and the team on, like, is this the right thing to do? Are we doing this right by traders? I'm like, there is a way to do it, but there's a way to do it responsibly. And you're not going out there and doing a ton of accounts, and you're just risking. So outside of that, undeniable that there is benefits. I'm going to just leave it at that, because I could continue on and go through that and talk about transitioning from combines to XFAs, from XFAs to live account, and then when you try and go and do it out on your own. So that was fun. We'll continue to talk about it. I'm sure it's going to be something. I'm sure it's going to be something that is going to be a continued storyline for the near future and the time to come. And you'll hear plenty of rants from probably myself, MP, and the team, and talking about it. We're going to start seeing, and this is something, and I've been talking to Rips, and I've been talking to some other traders. I'm like, we are going to start seeing some bigger P&L swings. We're going to see, individuals who can, hit really great trades, copy trading 5 XFAs. We're going to see really high P&Ls. We're going to see really bad losing days as well. So it's starting to heat up. This is going to be a very fun and interesting summer here at Topstep. So that being said, let's get to it. Let's get to the rapid fire. We have 6 markets to cover. I'm going to cover my main 4, and then I'll briefly touch base on the news, the new 2, the 2 others that I just added. But let's get through it. Here's the daily chart on the Nasdaq. We're still inside of what was it? What's the date? We're still inside this candle from the 23rd. Essentially, we went to the high of this range. We got up to, 18,980, and then we pulled all the way back. We sold off down to 820s, 819, and then we had a nice end of day rally, it looks like, during power hour, during the last 5-10 minutes, and we finished right back up here. And I don't know, do we consider this a doji, a hammer? I don't know. It's very hard to, when we start consolidating like this and when we start having inside candles, it's hard to say the chart patterns. I mean, if we look back here, I would say that this is be more defiance and bearish than, say, this one right here, because it's hard to tell on these chart patterns. Essentially, the way I read today, is it's an indecisive day. Yeah, Dragonfly Doji, spinning top, hanging man. Essentially, it's just for me, the way I look at it, it's kind of an indecisive day. If anything, we sold off and bought right back up, so maybe a bit more bullish than bearish on this candle. And if we zoom in, so let's zoom into a 60-minute chart here on the Nasdaq. And then we can kind of break down the day. So here was that really red day right here. And everything to the right is just kind of on the inside, right? The bottom of the top of that. And we're kind of consolidating in this inside. And then we start zooming in. And we're just consolidating. Like this is really the way that I'm looking at the market is we're consolidating. We've been buying the dips. Every time we sell off, we buy it right back up. Into the 18,920s, 18,930s. And sure enough, we did the same thing today. We sold off, bought it right back up, and essentially we're just consolidating. I mean, look how much time we've spent at this price, just above, 18,900. Like there is a lot of time spent there. This is a difficult market to trade in terms of if you're looking for a trend trading strategy, if you're looking for breakouts. It's easy and it's a fun market to trade if you are in a consolidating strategy, right? You're looking to buy sell-offs, you're looking to sell the highs, buy the lows, and essentially that's kind of what we've been in the last few days. And maybe we continue. So this could be something to consider going into the rest of this week. Is maybe we just buy these lows and sell the highs, and we consider a trend or a consolidation strategy going into tomorrow and the next day. And that's what I'm going to be looking at. I don't think there's a good enough reason for us to sell off completely or break to new all-time highs. Anything can happen. I could very well be wrong, but I'm going into this week with that type of mindset, consolidation mindset. Not looking for I'm not looking for a runner like Hoag said and the team said is, see profit, take profit if you happen to have a good trade. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities to have any great runners unless you catch the very bottom or the very top. So that is the Nasdaq. We are right in the middle, right at that price point, right at 18,900. It's just above that. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the Nasdaq. Let's get to some. Let's see. Sean DeJohns. No idea who you are. Yeah, get him out of here if he's just going to spam. Okay, now crude oil. Crude oil. This has been a fun market to trade. It did not give us. This is a crude oil 60-minute chart, and it's kind of been in a similar situation, right? A little bit longer than the Nasdaq, where same thing, consolidation. If anything, it's been a bit higher in terms of more bias to the bullish side. We've hit the $80 a barrel. We broke above the $80 a barrel, and yeah, it's been the same story. Is this going to be a triple bottom? As of right now, it's holding up as a triple bottom. Yesterday, we were rallying. We are in the middle of that leg to get up above $80 a barrel. And yeah, sure enough, I think we, yeah, I'm looking at these markets for the first time. I want to be a buyer. It's just, I don't want to sell it up here, even though a different strategy would be to sell it, right? If we're talking about a consolidating market, and very much so is to sell the up in this area. I just don't want to sell it because I think we even heard Hoag talking. It's summer. We have higher demand for crude oil, and I wouldn't be surprised if we break out of this consolidation and maybe we come back up into these, $83 a barrel. We could very well see $83 a barrel if we gain some momentum out of the 70s. And if we don't, we're kind of out of the 70s now. If we continue to hold above $80 a barrel, yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to wait for a pullback. And that being said, if I'm going to be looking from a buying standpoint on crude oil, I'm going to wait for a pullback. And look, it's been, do I dare say this is overextended from pretty much 76 and a quarter up to 80? So that's about $4 worth of a rally with not much of a pullback. I would love to see a pullback. Maybe I'd love to see a pullback to $79 a barrel and then look for an opportunity to take longs. If not, then I would be in that same situation that I absolutely hate, and that's crude oil rallying without me. So pullback, looking for a continuation up towards $83 a barrel. Will we get it this week? I'm not sure, but I'm going to be looking for opportunities to get in long. Yeah, and we all know that headline risk to shoot crude oil. At least at this point, would it be a fair argument to say that the headline risk favors, the upside, right? Favors $83 a barrel rather than it selling off? I think so. I don't know. It's interesting to say. We'll see. And we just finished a rollover too, right? Looks like an expanding triangle. You're talking about like this. I don't know. We'll see. Let's watch it. I'm curious. And when I'm a little bit hesitant, and I'm not extremely confident other than just looking to buy the dip and a sell off to 79, then we'll see how this plays out. I just don't want to be left thinking that we could go to $83 a barrel if we do start to break out and rally up to these highs, because that's a decent move, right? That is a decent move. And if we rally, you never know. Next week, we could be talking $83, $84 a barrel. Very much next week. We'll see. And you see this big spike, right? We have any headline news, and look at that huge spike in oil on Middle Eastern tension or anything that happens around the world. So there's crude oil. Let's take a look at Nikkei. This is Nikkei, the Japanese market. Essentially, we did have a failed breakout. This is a failed breakout. You can see we had this bearish trend line. We tried to break out. We failed to break out of that. And to be honest, the way I'm looking at it is we could have a continuation down towards 38,500. I wouldn't be surprised if we start breaking some of these lows and we could see back down to 38,500. This has been a key zone for support. So I'm hesitant to buy it. I'd be afraid to buy it, right? Because if you buy it here, there's more room to the downside than there is for a breakout, because we have this bearish trend line. We have a lot of bearish pressure on this move. Essentially, the risk reward is to the downside, looking for areas to short it. If we could have an opportunity to short, we're not at that area I'd like to be at for a good risk reward here on the Nikkei. If anything, I'll just shoot an example out here. If I got in short and then I look for maybe, if I got short now at 38,815 and I look for 600, I'd like my stop loss to be above 39,000, right? I want it to be above this trend line at a nice area of resistance. So that would be a 1-to-1 risk reward. Maybe there's an argument to be said to put a stop loss at like 38.9 and then I could have maybe a 2-to-1 risk reward. However, we've already came down so far, and as I'm talking, we're starting to sell off a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this. I like the short. I like the fact that we most likely, it looks like we're going to be selling off down towards the 38,600, 38,500 level. But I don't like it in terms of a trade for my own because of the risk reward. I would much rather us, maybe we just come up here and then I could find a reason to get short around 38,900, and then I could have a much better risk reward. But then the probabilities is less likely because I'm shorting it as it's going against me. So there's always give or take with probabilities. We'll see. Watch. By the end of this class, we might just continue to sell off, and then I could say I wish I would have shorted when I said it. But we'll come back and we'll watch it. Now let's talk about gold. Gold has been, if anybody was watching me last night, man, gold treated me really well. I rolled over the contract. So this is a rolled over contract. Let me see if I could go back to last month's. Gold. We're on 824. Let's see. I think it was, were we still trading 624? No, or was it? Yeah, I think it was 6. Whatever it was, the contract rolled over. So now it's a different one. Yeah, this was it. It was June still. Yeah, it was still June's. So let's talk about June's, and then we'll run over and switch, or run over. We'll hurry and switch to. We'll roll over the contract because I'm no longer trading June's. I'm now trading as of. I haven't placed a trade on the new contract. I was trading June still. But yeah, the trade yesterday. Let's take a look. Let me see if I could remember. This was last night, right? If anybody remembers, we like to look at a 60-minute chart. I was looking at this as a resistance zone. This was support, and this is becoming resistance. And, you know, you can go back and kind of see these little breadcrumbs. I mean, go as far back as you wish. The most recent is more important. But this was a key zone, right? Now with anything, it's a zone. It's not an exact level. And I'll go through it today because today I think the way I traded this morning right near the end of fast markets gives a good example where scaling in could be good, but then, you know, it could also be bad. You know, today I was living on the edge a little bit today. You know, I don't want to say lucky enough, but it ended up working out. Sometimes you take risk for that reward, and today it ended up working out. It was close, though. It was a really close one. Yeah, I'll go through it. But anyway, let me explain it. This was the zone. I was looking at basically, this is a big zone. From I think it was basically 50, the high 50s, 2350s, all the way up to the low 2360s. So this was a decent zone that I was looking at. And this is going to be a good example of scaling in from earlier this morning. But let's talk about last night's trade. Last night, if you guys joined me, it was recorded, and you might have to correct me if I'm wrong because my memory sucks. This was resistance, and was looking at this was resistance as well. And if I remember correct, I was shorting it. Let's see. Will it show? That was the days. Let's see. I was shorting it. Where was I shorting it, guys? Let's see. This is an hour. I believe it was right here. I was end up shorting it in this zone. Around 54s, pretty much this candle. This time, it was this time last night. So essentially 20. So this candle, basically right here is where I was shorting it. And then I was looking for take profits, 40s. And if you guys remember how I had multiple take profits, I got into 6 contract. I think the 6 contracts on average, and this is a great example. So the 6 contracts on average was right, let's just say 54. Let's say 54. I'm going to give myself bad fills. But anyway, what I did was I had take profits. I had 6 contracts. This is my entry at 54. But then I had multiple areas where I was closing for profits. And my final one, I believe, was my final few was at 2340. So I did take profit on most of them. However, I believe it was 2 or 3 of them ended up going all the way down, getting really, really close to my take profit, turning around and stopping me out. So sometimes that happens. It's really frustrating when you wake up in the morning and you see that the market came all the way down within less than $1, 5-6 ticks from your final take profits and then turn around and stop you out. Where I could have woken up with, $5,000. I woke up with just a fraction of that or half of it. But half is better than nothing, right? Now, let's talk about today. I did the same thing this morning in terms of where I wanted to get in. Now, I had this hourly chart. I had this hourly chart pulled up, and look at this candle. I was looking at this candlestick as extremely bearish. I'm like, man, we rallied all the way up to 65 and sold immediately back down to the 50s. And this is in the same zone, right? So I'm like, great. We're having a lot of resistance in this zone. I'm going to build a short position. And so I was looking at this candle and saying, okay, this is where I want to get in short in this zone. That's kind of a bigger zone. And then I zoom into a 5-minute chart. And I take it, I say, okay, this is the zone I want to get in short. And if you guys remember on TopstepTV, now my prices might not be exact, but because my memory sucks. So let's go. I believe I got into my first original short here based off this candle. Then I added to this position, I believe here. Now, just watch. Maybe you could rewatch the fast markets on TopstepTV. I added a couple, I think, in this one, and then we rallied up. I added some more in here. I ended up getting into 15 contracts short. However, that ad. Let me see if I could pull it up. Dare I pull it up? Let's see. This is confusing, Dink. Well, feel free to ask questions. A lot of this is a little bit more advanced, but essentially what I'm trying to demonstrate with this is I found a zone on a higher time frame, like an hour, and then I zoom into a 5-minute, and then I built a position looking for, I was looking for 2350. So I was looking for the market to move down here. I built a position in this zone. I ended up closing it for 2355. So I closed it for pretty close, just under where I was getting in my initial entry. So this was the trade. I'll have to find the exact prices. It's one of those where I'm excited to switch to Topstep X so I don't have to deal with the switch from entering trades on Rhythmic versus it not showing up on NinjaTrader. But yeah, it was an interesting one today on this gold short, because now and I'll go over the last two markets in a moment, but I think this is important, was managing the trade, managing my entries, having a game plan going into it where it's not just buy, or sell, and if the market keeps going against you, just keep selling and selling and selling. Going in, looking at the higher time frame, so taking into consideration this is a 60-minute. The setup was on a 60-minute chart. I was looking at this 60-minute and everything inside this candle. I'm like, okay, I want to get in short. I think we could push down into the 2350s, and so I want to build a position. Now, how big of a position do I want to build? Well, it depends on the market price action. It depends on how confident I am about this trade. If I would have just got into my, I think 2 or 3 contracts here, and then we sold off down to 2350, great, so be it. It gave me a couple opportunities to build that position in here. We didn't get to my target, but I was happy enough. I built a big enough position. I was really close to just closing it and just saying, you know what, heck with this. This is too big of a position. I'm just going to take this loss. And if I would have taken this loss, I would have finished the day like minus $3,000 because I was up 2,500. This would have been probably I think it was a $3,500, $4,000 loser on this particular trade. And we ended up just going sideways and chopping for the rest of the day. So I was happy with that one. Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions on that? So I'm going to get to some questions, and then I'm going to talk about ES and the Japanese yen because we're halfway through. So let's do that. Let me make sure okay. Let's get to some of the questions that I missed, and then I'm going to go over the last 2 markets. Okay, copy trading is all mental. The very bottom line is if you are trading 1 or 2 contracts and you make 300, you now make 1,500 with 5. Ken Crawford, 100%. That is a very true statement, and I believe that. Copy trading is for a psychological. And if I was to copy trade, it would be because it's a psychological thing, right? Because essentially all you're doing, if you copy trade against 5 accounts, one contract against 5 accounts, it's the same as getting in with 5 contracts. The benefit is that you have a larger stop loss comparison, right? Against 5 accounts, your daily loss limit is 5 times 3,000 if you're talking about 150K. So technically, your daily loss limit is 15,000. So that's where the advantage is, per se, in the combines and XFAs. But then when you get to a live account, guess what? A live account is exactly that. It's a live account. You could work with the risk managers. I talk with Mick. I actually sent Mick a message today. I said, hey, Mick, if this week goes well, I'm going to expand my daily loss limit to 12,000. And I'm going to do exactly that because I want to scale my live account. And just as you guys are going to be trading 5 XFAs, I'm going to trade my single live account just like 5 XFAs. So if this week goes well, I'm going to increase my daily loss limit from 9,000 to 12,000 in my live account. And then I'm going to do exactly like that. I'm going to, instead of trading 3 contracts at a time, I'm going to be trading 4 contracts at a time. So I hope that makes sense. David Pina, it's not the same. What do you mean it's not the same? If you didn't like 3, you won't like 5. Phoenix, you're right. I personally prefer just one account, right? Because I'm all for just starting your own account, live trading, because when you trade live in your personal account, you're not going to be copy trading against so many. Let me get to a couple more. Like I said, these last 2 markets, the ES and the Japanese yen, I'll talk about at the end. Few more questions. Oh man, these questions piled up. I love it. I'm going to try and answer these questions really fast. Dakota, what's your P&L for the day? Wondering, thanks. I'll go through my P&L at the end of class. I finished my day plus 12, 15, I think 14, 15,000, somewhere around there. Thanks. I've always been a buyer, except for this past week. Would you mind explaining why you referred to May 23rd candlestick as ugly last night? Didn't you like to talk about it? May 23rd, are you referring to Nasdaq? And are you referring to the daily? So this is Samuel McTwain, May 23rd candlestick. I say it as ugly from a bull's perspective. Here's May 23rd. I say it's ugly because I am more of a bullish trader. And it was ugly as in terms, this is a very bearish looking candlestick. That's all. That's why I said it was ugly. If you're bearish, then that's a very beautiful looking candlestick, right? I struggle with the reason expectation is for move, trying to figure out if it's a 30, 50, or 100 tick move. I'm not sure what you mean by that, overthinkery. Coach, please help me without knowing your setup. All this sounds like intuition that can't be learned. Large banana. I would say there's a small percentage. I'm not going to say that the way that I trade's 100% systematic in terms of there's a little bit of intuition, but every single night when I answer questions, when I go over the market, it's very straightforward. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Let me ask in the poll. I'm going to create a poll because now I'm very curious. Because that's the question, right? How much of this is intuition and how much of this can be learned, right? Anything can be learned. I mean, you could learn the market. You could gain your own intuition. But I feel like that's important. And I'm curious. How much is... Oh, wait. Let's go... What do we want to call it? Intuition versus what? Intuition, discretionary, intuition versus systematic. Is that a good question? Is that a good word for that? Intuition versus strategy, mechanics. Yeah, discretionary versus mechanical. Yeah, that there. I like that one. discretionary versus mechanical. Is the market more discretionary or mechanical? Okay. There we go. Disregard my spelling. So I'm just going to be DIS for one of them and MEC. So there you go. Let's see. I'm really curious because there is a level based off of, how long I've been trading, of understanding, what setups am I more favorable of? Like, am I going to be building a bigger position based off of this one or this one? And I think this gold example, so here's the gold chart again. So if we look at this gold chart on a 60-minute, I think there's can be aspects of both. Okay, the way I explained it, I hope you guys understand, is we sold off. We had this really big sell-off, and I've been looking for a pullback. I've really been looking for a pullback, and everybody knows. And I've went over this, a few times last week. I went over it last night. Is I was looking for a pullback. We got that pullback, and I like a pullback to support and resistance. This was support, and it became resistance. And we've seen that right here, right? And so for me to say this, what you see on your charts and what you see on your screen, this is mechanical, okay? This is, to me, 100% mechanical. You could learn this. It's simple. It's easy. Guess what? Selling off, we pull back to an area of resistance. So I would say that this aspect is mechanical, but then the technique of scaling in and knowing maybe when to get in, how big of a position, that's where the discretionary can come into play. And so if we look at this, like last night, now sure, you could say get in at a 3-bar reversal, and you could say, you can make it as mechanical as you want, right? So get in 3-bar reversal, here's a 3-bar reversal, boom, it's mechanical, straightforward, simple, and easy. But the way that I like to trade is, okay, we're at this zone. Now, zone can be very discretionary, right? Because the market's not exact. And then I zoom into a smaller time frame. And if you guys remember last night, we were right here last night. And we started, and I'm like, oh, do I want to get into a short? I almost got into a short right here at 23.52 when we broke down. I waited. We rallied up a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. I still want to get into a short because we're still in this zone. And then we started to sell off, and then I got into the short around 54 in this zone. And so then I scaled in, right? And so I would say maybe this is the aspect that we can say is a little bit more discretionary than mechanical, even though we can still see on the higher time frame. If I zoom back out at the hour, we're still in this zone that I want to find a short, right? And then it worked out really well. So that was mechanical, or that mechanical with a little bit of discretionary and experience. Where I put my take profits, that was pretty mechanical, right? Because I was looking at the same thing. I'm like, okay, there's some support here. This could be a good level for a take profit around 23.44. There's some, maybe some support resistance here. This could be some take profit. But there's also a level of discretion when understanding, what levels seems to be more efficient, what levels do I like, and part of that is experience, right? Like when I was saying, each market has its own unique characteristics, and the more you trade of the market, the more you understand how that market reacts, and that can be where some intuition comes to play, where you know for a fact that this market, maybe it's Nasdaq, acts a certain way, and that comes with experience and screen time. That's very hard to replace. Oh, okay, let's see. That's so interesting. We have pretty dang close to 50-50. We have 48% discretionary and 52% mechanical. That's really interesting. And we have 1,800 traders here, and only about 500 of you guys voted. So definitely vote. This is something I'm going to bring up, and maybe I have a conversation with MP in the team, because I'm really curious. And as a coach, it's important, because how are we going to be talking about this? How are we going to teach, right? Because maybe you guys prefer to look at the mechanical point of view. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to show you guys how I trade, and show you, like, hey, you know what? I have 14 years experience. I'm trying to show you, like, this is how I'm trading. This is how I'm looking at the market. This is how I'm reading these different markets. And there goes Nikkei. Yeah, I see Nikkei selling off. Well, that would have been a good short, right? And I walk you guys through my mindset, what I'm thinking, where I would consider putting stop losses, take profits, getting in. That would have been a great trade, right? Good entry point. Would have maybe not even take much risk. We could have had a stop loss at 38.05, maybe enter even at, what was it, 38,800, and already at a 1-to-1 risk reward. So trying to talk this through can be a little bit difficult, because I'm also trading as well, and I'm looking at these markets as, hey, I'm teaching a class, I'm teaching you guys, I'm answering questions, but I'm also looking at the markets as I want to take a trade. I'm a trader first, and yeah, if I see something, I have my live account ready to go, and you guys see me take trades, and if I take a trade, it's going to be in my live account, because this is the time I'm looking to trade and make money as well. So that being said, let's take a look at ES. Okay, so new market for me, guys. I'm going to keep that poll up through the rest of the class, because I'm really curious if you guys are just joining. I have a poll. Is the market more discretionary or mechanical? Answer that. So let's go through this. ES. Wow. Let me look at the daily on the ES. Now, this is me analyzing a market for the first time. Okay, here's the ES on the daily. And there's the 23rd. Here's the Nasdaq on the daily. Let's look at the Nasdaq on the daily. So the first thing I look at, I'm like, okay, how is this market reacting? What are the nuances of it? Nasdaq, pretty dang bullish. ES, and we could even pull these up as a side-by-side comparison maybe. ES, I'm actually a little bit more bearish. I mean, the way I'm looking at ES, this is a daily chart. Maybe we have a leg and test 52.82. I'm not looking to trade this. I'm analyzing ES for the very first time, and I probably will not place a trade on ES maybe for a whole month, because this is a new market for me, guys. ES is more bearish than I'm looking at on the Nasdaq. It's a little correlated. It's a little more correlated, right? ES and the Nasdaq they have a level of correlation, but this is the all-time high on the Nasdaq, and the ES, I mean, it's a little bit higher, right? So I would say the ES is a little bit weaker. We failed to break. This is a key pivot, I believe. Could this be just a pullback, and maybe we see a continuation? Because this is looking pretty heavy to me. This is looking bearish. And we're already down almost 0.25% on the ES. We are at some of this key level for the past week or two, around, what is this, 53.13s, 53.10, 53.06. So these low 53s, 53.06 to 53, like this is a zone, right? 53.16. And we just started selling off. We got a nice bounce at the end of the day, but I am looking at this as more bearish than the Nasdaq, and this is a 60-minute chart. Yeah, first thing I noticed, ES is not, it doesn't whipsaw. It doesn't have as many wicks and crazy action as the Nasdaq does. It's pretty consistent, right? I mean, it's trending down into the right. Down into the right. Let's see how tomorrow plays out. I'm bearish on the ES. is the buy the dip? Are we going to be buying the dip on the ES? I don't think so. We could come down and test 5,300 tomorrow. Let's watch how it plays out. Let's watch and see how this plays out tomorrow. I'll provide some more commentary tomorrow night. Let's see if we could see 5,300. And zooming in, this is a 5-minute chart now. There's obviously some very clear support right around 53.12. Now remember, I started a 60-minute chart, and now I'm zooming, or I started on a daily. Now I zoomed into a 60-minute chart, and now I'm zoomed into a 5-minute chart, and I'm kind of just like Google Maps. You hear me say, and a lot of other members talk about Google Maps because markets are fractal. Is as we zoom in, we can start to see these support and resistance. Now, the first thing I see is ES tends to be a little bit more accurate when it comes to support and resistance. Now, correct me if maybe I'm wrong on any of these. A lot of this is me just thinking out loud. ES tends to be a little bit more accurate when it comes to support and resistance. It's a lot clean. It's a lot more clean. And I'm comparing this to the Nasdaq. Okay, guys, I'm comparing this to the Nasdaq because we can see on the 5-minute chart on the Nasdaq, it gets a little crazy. You can see how crazy this can be. And then we compare that to the ES. It could still be crazy, but it's not as much. It's a little more tame. And this is why I hear a lot of people, and myself included, recommend it to a lot of new traders. So let's see. I think, and maybe this could be a fair reason. Maybe if I was to place a trade, let's do a theoretical. I'm not going to place a trade, but this is something I would consider. If we break below, say, 53.10, would this be a fair trade? If we break below 53.10, then a trade down to, I don't know, maybe 300, maybe 306, like something like that, just a quick in and out, break below 53.10 3/4, and look for a take profit at 53.07, and then have a stop loss at 53.16 above that little pivot that we just made for a scalp. Is that a scalp on the ES? I'm not sure. Let's talk about this tomorrow. We'll see how it plays out. This is the first time entertaining the ES in my slow markets class. I'm not too tempted to take a trade, and it'll be a month. It will be a month or so, maybe 3 weeks until I feel confident in placing any sort of trade on the ES during slow markets. Okay, that being said, Japanese yen, dollar yen, Forex. Here we go. Take a look at this. This is a 60-minute chart on the dollar yen for all the currency traders. Now, Coach Jay is going to be with me tomorrow. I don't know if he's in the chat, but Coach Jay, he has a lot more experience trading this than I do. I think he traded it last time he was on, and I definitely would love to have Coach Jay's insights, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. But it looks pretty consistent to me. Like, right, we had this huge rally, and it trend down, right? Huge rally, trending down. We have this interesting level of support here back on like May 1st, April 30th, and we're right there now. And if we zoom in, I'll look at gold in a second. Did I miss a short? Did I miss a freaking short on gold? If we zoom in, we have this as support, and it looks like it respected it. Like that is a level of confidence, right? We have some support here on the yen. There is some here, right here at, how do we read this? 37.30, 637.30. Yeah, I'm excited to get Coach Jay on here tomorrow. And sure enough, we sold off. We got down to that level, and then we're starting to get a bounce. Now, based off the way I'm looking at this chart, is you don't buy this type of a market, is my understanding. This is ticker 6J. This is the Japanese yen. It's a future, Japanese yen futures, follows the Japanese yen. So I wouldn't be brave enough to buy it even at support. I think if anything, I would look for opportunities to sell this market, right? Because look at this. It's pretty consistent type of a trending market. And I would look for a nice rally and sell the rally, or a breakdown, right? So something fair is if we break down below this key level of this level of support, which looks like it's 63.05, 63.700, then maybe we get a nice sell-off down to 63.50s. This is going to be an interesting market. I don't know if there's probably not going to be any scalp opportunities, but let's watch. I'm going to continue to watch to see how this plays, to see if tomorrow do we have a nice bounce up, do we get back up to this resistance zone, or I don't know. Let's watch it. We're going to watch it together, and we're going to go from there. But until then, let me get to some questions. Oh yeah, one other thing I forgot, guys. I just got reminded. So on top of those 5 Express funded accounts, activate the new Express funded accounts from your dashboard. That's interesting. That is very interesting. I need to go through, maybe I go through a combined on ES or Japanese yen. And if I could pass that, maybe I could do an Express button, or maybe I could go through and activate an Express account. Maybe I do that because, like I said, I'm not going to be trading the Japanese yen or the ES on my live account. And I'm definitely going to be placing it on a demo account or a combine now. Maybe I'll just do a combine on Topstep X and see if I could get past a combine there. That'd be fun. 27.7. No, you can't buy XFA straight up. Interesting. So that is very interesting. Let me get to some more questions. And then, here's my trading dashboard. So here's my live account. Oh, okay. Live accounts. Let's talk about my live account, and then I'll finish off with the last of these questions. Live account from last week. This was ugly. This was my Friday with Coach Jay and me and MP. I was up $2,300 and I ended up down $9,400. That was a rough one. That was a bad day. I was shorting the market while it was rallying. Now hindsight's always 20/20. It was dumb. I know I did make a few. I did for a fact make some mistakes on that. Getting in too big of a position, I think, and not being. I was being too hard-headed on Friday. Today, I had that amazing gold short last night. I had the amazing gold short today, and I did have a Nasdaq trade at the end of the day. So 1,500 or 15,000 to start the week. So that was good. We'll see. I'm up 15,000 for the week. That was a whole lot better than last week, where I started last week minus 9,000. Then I ended last week another minus 9,000. And I had a good, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so let's see if I could keep it going. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this week goes. And then there we go. I broke through the 200,000 mark. That's going to be fun. And so after I did that, I'm like, I messaged Mick, and I said, hey, Mick, who's from the risk management team, if anybody doesn't know, if this week goes well, I want to start out June 1st with a daily loss limit now increased from, instead of 9,000 daily loss limit, I will now have a 12,000 daily loss limit, and I will trade my single live account just like somebody would trade for XFAs and copy trade it, right? So if I trade an express funded account, 150K express funded account, which is a daily loss limit of 3,000, they would trade it, say, 3 contracts max position for me. Now, if I'm going to do it like I'm copy trading 4 accounts, I'll have a daily loss limit of 12,000, and then I would get into, say, 9 contracts. So hopefully if that makes sense. So we'll see how it goes. Get to some more of these questions. Like I said, AP, I don't answer enough questions in chat. You would be surprised how many questions I'm getting sent to me that I've missed throughout this session. So like I said, if I don't answer your question, feel free to copy and paste it. Don't spam the chat. And like I said, 1 hour goes fast. I could probably spend a whole hour just answering questions. So always just bear with me. How Topstep X going for you? Topstep X is a learning curve. Just like anything else, you can see I'm still on NinjaTrader, and I'm going to stay on NinjaTrader until I feel comfortable on Topstep X. And I definitely recommend you guys do the same. Take it as a learning curve. There's a demo account, maybe a 50K combine, practice in a demo account, and get used to it. But never would myself and I even MP would recommend forcing you to switch over. It's a great platform, and I'm excited to learn and continue to learn and switch over as well. Chris, that's why you tried ES. It respects levels. Yep, and I did just miss that short gold trade. So let's get to some more questions. I'm going to focus on the YouTube chat now, and we have just a few more minutes left. Let me make sure I got everything. Yeah, 4 more minutes left. Let's get to some of these questions. One Trader Joe, when I increase my daily loss limit, will I increase my max contracts? That is the question. My max contracts is 30, and very rarely have I been getting into max contracts. So I think I'm going to have a daily loss limit of 12,000, and I'll keep my max contracts at 30 contracts for that account, because to be honest, and just thinking, I shouldn't be in 30 contracts very often, if not ever. Maybe once every 3 months, I see a great setup with great risk reward and a tight stop loss. Or maybe I build up a good buffer for the day, and I'm like, okay, 30 contracts is a lot for the Nasdaq. And I trade the Nasdaq the most. It's my #1 market during the New York session. 30 contracts is huge. It really is. And increasing my daily loss limit and scaling it, I don't see myself. There's no point for me. If I'm trading it like 4 XFAs, yeah, I could do 4 times 15 if I'm copy trading 4 XFAs. But for my personal live account and for my live account here at Topstep, I think 30 contracts is more than enough, to be honest. Yeah, I made 12,000 today or 15,000 today. And yeah, I mean, 15 contracts. Think of it like this. 10 points on the Nasdaq, trading 5 contracts is $1,000. And the Nasdaq can move 10 points in a blink of an eye. So that's huge. I do not have any XFAs. I do not have any XFAs right now. I do trade my own money, guy man. Trading is my main source of income. I trade options, and I do trade my own personal account. I am trading here at Topstep. I actually started this fun journey, and you've seen on my stats, I started February is when I got to my live account. I started combines the end of June or the end of January. So I started my combines the end of January because I was pissed off about comments someone made, how, you know, those who could do, those who can't teach, right? Everybody who's been here probably knows a little bit about that. So I was pissed off. I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine, whatever. I activated 3 combines. I copy traded those 3 combines. I traded those 3 combines, passed them in, I think it was like a week. I got 3 XFAs, and I traded them, and I got transferred to a live, and the rest is history. So, I got transferred to a live in the beginning of February, and from February, actually, let's see, I think I have that date. So yeah, I did, and I did it because of that reason. I'm like, you know, this would be a great example. Oh, one second. This would be a great example to show traders that you can trade. You could scale an account. you could go into live, and you can also scale an account, a single account live in the live market. So where's the date on here? There's February 9th. So there you go. February 9th of this year. Started with 0. So I started with 0, right? February 9th. If this date's correct, I did start my combines like the end of January, and then I started XFAs. So I think this is when I got moved to the live account, and I got moved to the live account in about 12 trading days. I got moved from XFAs to my live account in 12 trading days. And so from then, February 9th is when I started this. And it was to, I don't want to say prove a point, but I feel like I'm better at teaching and helping people by doing it. It's like, here, lead by doing. Let me show you that it's reasonable. You could do it. It's not unrealistic. And hopefully I could continue to scale it and start taking profits, and then start taking payouts and show how to maintain account as well. I haven't withdrawn. I have plans to scale this account to a certain size, and once I get to that size, I will start taking payouts, and then I will start talking and teaching about how to maintain account. So right now, I'm hopefully showing like this is how you scale an account, and then once I get it to say, I don't know, 500,000, then I'm going to show and hopefully teach how to maintain an account. Like how often should I pay myself? Wouldn't you taking payouts reduce your account value? And go through the in-depth of how do you become a consistent trader without blowing your money and dwindling your account down to where it's no longer tradable or something like that. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. Like I said, it's in a journey. I'm on a journey with you guys, and hopefully you guys could pick something along the way, and hopefully it helps. I won't talk about taxes. Part of why I haven't taken a payout may be considering taxes as well. Anyway, so that's that. I'm going to answer a few more questions. I'll go a few minutes after. I don't mind, and we'll get to some of these questions. Poll, we got to 1,000, and we got to 1,000 votes. Is the market more discretionary or mechanical? 50-50, man. Wow. 50-50. Is the market more discretionary or mechanical? And you guys are just split right down the middle. That is interesting. That is really, really interesting. I wouldn't expect that. I thought traders would be more like 80-20 mechanical, but you guys are really thinking it's more. Yeah, it's 50-50. Well, it's both, right? It's technically both. Maybe we'll do a poll. Let's do this. I got a better idea. Percent split for this. Okay, whatever. Don't worry about my spelling. Okay, so here it is. We're gonna do I want to do a percentage because I think a percentage is more important. Okay, so what we're going to do is there's going to be 2 votes. There's going to be 2 votes. Is it 80-20? We'll do 60-40, and then we'll do it the other way. And I know this is going to be a little off, but bear with me. And don't judge me by my spelling. Okay, you guys could get it. I feel like you're smart enough to understand this poll. Percentage wise, okay? So I'm just going to explain how this poll is. Do you think it's 80-20 in favor of mechanical? Do you believe it's 60-40 in favor of mechanical? Do you believe it's 40-60 in favor of discretionary, more discretionary? Or do you believe it's 20-80, more discretionary? So maybe that will help me understand, because you guys seem split 50-50. And while you guys finish up that poll, I'll get to a couple more questions and I'll end it. We're all speculators at the end of the day, right? Yeah, I'm curious. People are thinking more mechanical now. I'm speculating. Yes, 80-20 mechanical. Yep. 93.7 lean pulled pork contracts. Yeah, I think maybe it matters more of our personality too, right? Because every one of us, we're a little bit different, and we view the markets different. And some of us could be a lot more discretionary than mechanical. But it looks like now, if everybody who's left, it looks like more mechanical than discretionary. 80-20 mechanical, 60-40 mechanical, which means 80% mechanical, 20% discretionary, 60% mechanical, 40% discretionary, and then some leaning very heavily on the discretionary side. Interesting. I am very curious, so I'm going to actually take note of this, and it's something I'm very curious on, because it's important, right? If everyone believes it's like more mechanical, maybe we talk more about the mechanical side, and it's also something that I'm going to talk more about, and I feel, and it's kind of opened my eyes to the way that you guys are viewing the markets, is how do I view the markets from the discretionary side, right? Like, what is my discretionary, and what's discretionary to me? And maybe I could walk you through anything that I might consider discretionary if it helps you guys. Because, yeah, I think there's a level of discretionary, and maybe I could talk about it a little more. And maybe there's a way I could quantify my discretionary actions in the market. Maybe. I don't know. I've never thought of that. Mechanical for the zone, discretionary for the entry. Yeah, that could be a great way to break down my trading. 828. Discretionary for technique, mechanical for basic technical analysis, support and resistance. Discretionary for the technique of getting in and getting out, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I'm thinking about this stuff for the very first time. I'm learning a lot as well. The more I teach, the more I talk about it, the more I go through this stuff with you, the more I'm actually learning and thinking about this, right? Yeah, we'll see. We will definitely see. I'm interested. Maybe that's something we could ask other traders and other members here at TopstepTV, and see. But I love it. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Man, love our moderating team. I don't have to take screenshots. She did it for me. Man, that's so nice. I thank you. That helps. We're going to keep that. That's something very good to hand on to. So, if anything else, another reminder, guys, I will be on for Power Hour tomorrow, and of course, Fast Markets Friday morning. And then I'm going to be planning a London session in June, and I'm going to be looking for a consistent schedule for London sessions starting June. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, take care, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. If I don't catch you during Fast or Power Hour, I will see you tomorrow night. So good night and take care.